Good Morning Liberty.
Well, what is up, all of our liberty-loving friends? This is another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is Nate Thurston, and across from me is absolutely no one. Big and tall, empty chair right over there across the table from me. So I am by myself today. Charlie is gone. He's actually gone all week next week as well, although we might try and get him for virtual episodes once or twice next week. So you just got me today. If it's your first time listening, keep that in mind. Normally there are two people here and we are talking to each other and we are joking and we are laughing and having a good time. And today it's just me on a microphone. That is not how this show was intended. It's not how this show is built. And so I'm going to do my best. So just bear with me here. I don't like doing shows by myself, but I am hanging out with the Fed Haters Club. Join GML.com. As little as $7 a month, and you can be here hanging out with me on Friday for Dumb Bleep of the Week, which is what our show is today. They get to vote on what the dumbest thing that happened over the last week was. We have 9 entries today. A good portion of them came from the Fed Haters Club, I believe. One of them, I believe, from X, and a few of them from me. And so we are going to go through those, and they are going to vote on what the dumbest thing is. Does everyone understand the rules? Yep. Okay. All right, cool. Well, let's get into this thing. Going to start with a couple easy layups here, some stuff to make fun of. So the first one here, Dumb Bleep number 1, Zohran Mamdani, or Zelda Muhammad, as Charlie would call him if he were here right now, plans to phase out gifted and talented program in New York City elementary schools. Isn't that just great? Everyone is equal. That's great. Mayoral front runner Zohran Mamdani, likely to be the next mayor of New York, by the way, wants to phase out New York City's gifted and talented program. The Democratic Socialists' latest move to revert to Mayor Bill de Blasio's era. This is from the New York Post, by the way, so I'm reading off of a New York Post article. Mamdani, the Democratic nominee for mayor, said Thursday he would eliminate the accelerated learning program at the kindergarten level, something that's likely to anger parents who have been passionately divided on the issue. The gifted classes would remain active through the school year, but would no longer be available next fall, he said. This is something we see a lot. We've seen a lot over the country over the last, really since the COVID era when everything got really crazy and the Marxists started exerting their force strongly over everyone, is getting rid of things like gifted programs in schools, which is the wildest thing to me. Like, you got a kid who could easily move up a level, keep learning more, keep expanding, keep getting better. And it's not like not everyone can do that. That's just a fact of life. Some of these kids are smarter. It's just a real thing, okay? But you see, if you're a socialist or a communist, or as Mamdani would like to point out when you call him a communist, he is a democratic socialist, which says we will attempt to vote our way into this thing. And if that doesn't work, we're still going to do this thing, by the way. But that's basically the way that they're saying that, is we will attempt to vote our way into this thing, and then we'll have to shoot our way out. It seems to be a thing. They want everyone to just be equal, even if some of these kids, they aren't equal. They're just naturally smarter than the other kids, and that's not good. That is not good. Do you know who else thought that wasn't good, by the way? Stalin thought that wasn't good. I hate to just dumb bleep number 1. I'm already pulling out Stalin stuff. I'll tell you a little bit more here in a second. I will return to the previous policy, Mamdani told the New York Times in a statement. Ultimately, my administration would aim to make sure that every child receives a high-quality early education that nurtures their curiosity and learning. So education for all, basically. We're all going to get the same education. Doesn't matter if you're smart enough to get an even better education. That's not what we're going to be doing. Just can't be doing that kind of thing. By the way, someone noted here that Mamdani's parents, who are wealthy, sent him to Bank Street School, whose tuition runs up to $66,000 a year. Says he's taken away opportunities from families who are not as fortunate as his family. Typically, you got to be pretty rich to be a socialist these days. Yeah, by the way, Stalin in 1937 had a policy for education for all, shut down elite schools because it was seen as perpetuating class privilege and inequality. So restricted the money, redirected the money to mass education. That's why I said mass education earlier. Because it was necessary for building a cohesive society. And you got to imagine, like if you're a socialist or a communist, and you got to have this, to be able to have that kind of society, like everyone has to think the same. You don't want them to think differently because then you have to kill them. It's generally a rule for those commies. So you want everyone to think the same so you can keep your commie society going, and you especially can't have people that are unequal or smarter than other people. That's just dangerous. It's dangerous to the whole system because once you see that some people are in fact smarter than others, able to achieve more than others, they could even find ways to make more money, to be more valuable in society than others, kind of kills the whole idea, doesn't it? And so for whatever reasons they will make for doing this, and we could say, well, these are public dollars and we don't think the public dollars should go anywhere. They should just not tax anyone. And so we could make that argument that, yeah, shut down whatever programs you possibly want to shut down. And there's a reason they'll go after these kinds of programs. Like every time, they want everyone to be equal, but a lower equal. That's the problem with socialism, communism, these collectivist ideologies. They average everyone down. You don't let anyone rise above because that could be dangerous. So that's number one. Easy one. Quick, wasn't too bad. We made that just a few minutes. So we got another one here that's going to be pretty quick for us to go through. This one concerns some protests against ICE. So the post here, I want to call it gaslighting. I don't know if it's the right terminology for it. So I don't, I'm a psychology major. I don't know exactly what to call this kind of speak. But you could be protesting somewhere. You can hold up signs. You could be yelling at people as they're getting in their cars or as they're going about their business, standing somewhere on a public sidewalk, or maybe it's a private place and they've allowed you to come and do that. That's fine. You could even make use of a pedestrian crosswalk if you wanted to. Like if you had to go like, hey, my friends got signs over there and I want to go over there and walk with them. And so you could go across the crosswalk. Or you could just take the crosswalk, which is intended for people to cross from one side to the other, and you could pack it full of people and block all the traffic that's going through there. Like that's pretty annoying. Okay. It's pretty annoying. And then you could do that. And you could say, well, that car that was trying to go through there is trying to run us over when all we're doing is using a crosswalk. That's all we're doing. And that's just lying, really. Is what it is. Here's a video of this happening.
Up with liberation! Down with deportation! Up with liberation!
Up with liberation!
Down with deportation!
Down with deportation!
I don't know I hate chanting so much. Someone would have to explain to me. I don't know if that's like a common libertarian thing. Is it because you have to join together with other people and you're not actually thinking for yourself? Like that person decided that you were going to say this thing. I don't know. It just seems like a mindless drone. Just awful. This person says, at the Broadview ICE facility, an ICE agent tried to run dozens of protesters over with an SUV as we walked on a public crosswalk. He kept driving for about a full football field until ICE barraged us with pepper balls. And I'm just saying, like this, if you're going to do a thing, if you're going to block traffic, if you're going to do whatever, just say you're going to block traffic. Don't decide you're going to block traffic by standing and crowding a crosswalk and refusing to move. You're not going from one side to the other. If you're going to block traffic, say you're going to block traffic, okay? Don't stand there in that thing, and then when someone tries to drive through, it says, well, all we're doing is using a crosswalk. Jeez, I'm a victim in this scenario. No. I'm not cool with that. So that itself, that gets it done. That's Dumb Bleep number 2. All right. So how about Dumb Bleep number 3? This one came from X. Thanks to our good friend who goes by the name on X of Michael Scarn, star of Threat Level Midnight on X. Always hanging out with us on there, sending us good stuff. Not a member of the Fed Haters Club, and you need to join. Just telling you right now, I'm calling you out, Michael Scarn. You need to do that. Okay. This is Andrew Cuomo apologizing to the Jewish community for asking them to follow the same COVID lockdown procedures as he imposed on everyone else. That's what the post says. So he does this long apology video about how his policies, they were just insensitive to the Jewish community. And before we get into any of the COVID stuff, like, it's important to note that he needs the Jewish community to be on his side right now because he wants to try and win votes. And so he wants them to take his apology. He's never going to do it again, he promises. And here's his apology. We'll play that and we'll talk about it afterwards.
Friends, as we approach Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year, we are reminded this is a time of reflection, of forgiveness, and of recommitting ourselves to do even better. That is true for all of us, and it's true for our leaders as well. During COVID, as governor, I made decisions with the best of intentions to protect health and save lives. However, I recognize that some of those decisions caused pain in the Jewish community because we did not always fully consider the sensitivities and traditions that are so deeply important. We could have done better, and for that, I am truly sorry. My intentions don't change the impact, and I sincerely ask for your understanding. On this holy day of atonement, I am committed to learning from these lessons. Today, Jewish New Yorkers face another challenge, the rise of anti-Semitism. It is real, it is dangerous, and it must be confronted. An attack on the Jewish community is an attack on every New Yorker because we are one family, the family of New York. I stand with you 100%, always, not just in words, but in action. And I assure you this city will be safe, inclusive, and respectful for all. On this Yom Kippur, may we find the humility to learn, the strength to heal, and the hope for a brighter future. Gemar Chatima Tova. May you and your families be sealed in the book of life for a good and peaceful year.
Yeah, good point, by the way, Dave and Girl. What's going on with his hands? He looks like he's wearing like the fat hand prosthetics that Tom Cruise wore in Tropic Thunder right now. I don't know what's going on with that. We need to get to the bottom of this pretty soon. Yeah, New York City has no good options right now. I take offense to this, and I don't even live in New York. Maybe some of our listeners live in New York. You're apologizing to one community for some of the COVID protocols that shut down large gatherings and happened to affect some areas where a lot of Jews lived in New York. Why are you even apologizing? Are you saying that those things weren't necessary? Because if you still believe those things were necessary, why would you apologize for it? I'm not really sure what the apology is right here, except for I'm sorry about how my policies affected you, although if we were confronted with the same thing again, I guess I would do it again because my claim is that it saved a bunch of lives. Like, I don't think that he's repented on his entire ideology around COVID, has he? And why only apologize to one group? Do you think Jews were the only people affected in New York? Anyone? Were there other churches in New York, or is it just Jews? I don't know. I haven't been there in a long time. Okay. But I suspect there are other churches that were also affected by some of these policies. Do those people also deserve a policy, or was it necessary because you needed to save people's lives and that was the only way that you could do it? Why apologize to one group except for clearly you're just trying to win votes from people? How about you apologize to the elderly community for killing like 15,000 patients in nursing homes. How about something like that? Why don't we apologize for doing that? Or why don't you apologize to those people's families for doing such a stupid policy of putting sick people who are suffering from an illness that mainly killed old people, putting sick people back in with old people? My God. Yeah, as a non-Jew, I do not accept his apology on behalf of Jews. And I don't even think I'm within my rights to do that, but I think everyone agrees with me. So, okay, that's number 3, Andrew Cuomo. How about number 4? Don Lemon. Got another video here. So let me get to the video. By the way, can the guy, it's not just his hands in that video. Can he not get a teleprompter? Like he's clear. If you didn't watch the video, it's always awkward to me when they do this like sincere apology. Here's me being a real person. I'm a real guy. Vote for me. Do it. And he's looking like 3 feet off the camera the whole time because he's reading cards that have to be on big enough font for him to read. And it just, the whole thing, it's just not going to work. It's just, the thing is not going to work, y'all. Okay, anyhow, let's play this Don Lemon video, who oddly, like at one time, like he was terrible, like really, really terrible. And then he got slightly less terrible there for a minute. I'm still terrible. Don't get me wrong here. Still terrible, but he got like slightly less terrible for a minute. And then he was like, well, that doesn't work. So I'm just going to get way more to, like, the guy I used to be is going to look at me now and say like, oh, wow, that guy's terrible. Like that's how bad he is now. So let's play this one.
Men who look like you, men who vote like you, and men who sound like you. White men, something is broken. Something is cracked deep inside when so many of you believe the answer to fear, to loss, to change is violence. Are you listening to me? I hope I'm saying it loud enough for the people in the back.
I'm listening. Unfortunately, it doesn't apply to me. And that's the problem with lumping people in the groups. First off, like white men, something is broken inside of you. And I'm like, well, I guess this doesn't apply to me, but he did say white men. So I don't know. Maybe he knows I'm, part Asian or whatever, but I'm not really sure. There's an annoying part about this, and I'm not going to go into the numbers, and Don Lemon doesn't want me to go into the numbers. Like deciding to come out, of course, after a mass shooting, which, yeah, you look at specific mass shooting stats, and you will find a lot of them are committed by white men. Very specific mass shooting stats. Actually, there's a really funny part about this. Like when they're just wanting to talk about mass shootings and like banning guns, they'll use something like the Gun Violence Archive as their resource for how many mass shootings there have been. But that counts all the shootings where 4 or more people were shot. And that counts like your typical crime, which most of those are around gang violence and other crimes, drug-related crimes, things like that. But when they want to say, well, white men are the problem, then they'll go to something like the Violence Project's archive, where they extremely narrow down the mass shootings to the mass shootings that we all talk about all the time, the ones that actually make it on the news. And they'll talk about just those mass shootings, the ones that, get play on the news for a week or so. And they'll say, well, these are mostly committed by white men, and so we need to talk about how white men are the problem. And so you pick and choose which mass shooting stat you want to use based on what you want to point out as the problem. And he doesn't want to go down the list of looking at something like per capita stats for crime, because this would make no sense at all. I think everyone listening to this right now knows that there's something like 13% of the population that commits like half of the violent crimes, and I don't think you want to go down that road talking about this. So like if there's something broken in white men because there's mass shootings that happen and you look at the actual mass shootings he's using to say that it's just white men, which means he has to count out all gang violence, gun-related, drug-related violence, stuff like that. So we can only look at the mass shootings that we talk about, of which there are not like that many statistically, and then put that onto an entire group of people called white men. Well, then I would think you'd be able to look at the other crime statistics and look at homicide rates and things like that per capita and make an assumption about an entire group of people and talk about their skin color? Is that what we're doing here? Everyone cool with that? Is he cool with that? No, he's not. He doesn't even actually believe all white men, by the way, because he's married to a white guy. That's just one little like icing on the cake kind of thing. So anyhow, that was number 4, Don Lemon. How about number 5? This is a post from the Chicago Teachers Union. This is after someone goes by the name of Asada Shakur. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. I don't care either. Asada Shakur. Rest in power, rest in peace. Today we honor the life and legacy of a revolutionary fighter, a fierce writer, a revered elder of black liberation, and a leader of freedom whose spirit continues to live in our struggle. Asada refused to be silenced. She taught us that, quote, "It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains." R.I.P. How about that? It's a community note here, and I went further into it, don't worry. In 1973, Asada Shakur murdered a New Jersey state trooper and was convicted of first-degree murder, armed robbery, and aggravated assault. In 1979, armed allies stormed the prison and freed her, and then she fled to Cuba. And the FBI had her on its most wanted terrorist list. Here's the actual link. Well, I clicked on the link to the FBI's most wanted terrorist list. Joanne Deborah Chesamard is her actual name. Asada Shakur, I guess that's a cooler name. That's fine. Went by like a billion different aliases down here. All kinds of different names going on down here. Let's see. When they let everyone know about this, wanted for escaping from prison in Clinton, New Jersey, while serving a life sentence for murder on May 2nd, 1973. Asada, who was part of a revolutionary extremist organization known as the Black Liberation Army, and 2 accomplices were stopped for a motor vehicle violation on the New Jersey Turnpike by 2 troopers. At the time, she was wanted for her involvement in several felonies, including bank robbery. She and her accomplices opened fire on the troopers. One trooper was wounded and the other shot and killed execution style at point blank range. She fled the scene but was apprehended later on. One of her accomplices was killed in the shootout and the other was apprehended and remains in jail. She was found guilty of first-degree murder, assault and battery of a police officer, assault with a dangerous weapon, assault with intent to kill, all these different things. And then she was freed from prison and went to Cuba and died in Cuba. So then you always get like the headlines afterwards. It's a great one here from the New York Times. Asada Shakur dies at 78. Convicted revolutionary found refuge in Cuba. Now, as was pointed out here, calling her convicted revolutionary sounds like she was convicted for some of her, like black liberation acts, like fighting for freedom for black people and equal rights and stuff like that. She was fighting for freedom. She was trying to fight the police officers that were going to take her to jail for robbing a bank and killed one of them and injured the other. So I guess it's like specifically yourself, black liberation, I guess. But yeah, convicted revolutionary does sort of sound like she was convicted for her revolutionary acts. And I guess one of them could be murdering a police officer in order to keep herself free, whatever. Fox News did a little bit better job here. They said convicted cop killer, an FBI most wanted terrorist, dead in Cuba, communist regime says. Yeah, it's a little bit better. So I'm just trying to, yeah, like Costco said, just sounds like she was just another MLK. Just got another Martin Luther King Jr. here. I feel the love. Feel all the love. All right, number 6. Got a little bit of Tucker Carlson stuff here. Tucker Carlson is not the dumb. It's a couple comments from other people responding to Tucker Carlson, or Tucker Catarlson, as people like to call him sometimes. This post here from Ted Cruz says, Tucker Carlson has boldly come out for regime change. Of course, it's not Iran or Qatar or China. Actual enemies of America aren't his concern because they've got too much money. It's got to be awkward for some of these Republicans to call out Qatar so much when Trump clearly is like BFFs with Qatar. You know, you got the jet. And then, by the way, he signed like this executive order, signed this NATO Article 5 like treaty for Qatar. Like, if anyone attacks them, it's going to be considered an act against the United States, and we're going to have to retaliate. We didn't even talk about that. There's been so many things to talk about. Too many things, actually. It's got to be weird. Like, are you not going against Trump when you're talking about Qatar? I don't know. Anyway, so he's calling for regime change. Instead, it's his favorite enemy, Israel. That's who he's calling for regime change. Sadly, Tucker has become hashtag America Last. Now, before I even play the video, I'm going to play it. It's got some stuff in it. I think it's important stuff, and we'll play it. It's informative. How is calling for Bibi Netanyahu to be removed from power, or to leave power, America Last? What does that have anything to do with America? Anyone? You look at his poll numbers in Israel. They're not good. A lot of people in Israel don't like him. In fact, the only reason I believe he's still in power right now is because of the war. Like, every time something is about to happen where, they're going to take him back to court like he was about to do before October 7th happened, they bomb someone else. It's, conspiracy theories are plentiful, but sometimes it seems like, things are happening in order to make sure he doesn't actually leave power. All right, let me get to the video here. This tab is called Tucker. Here's this video that Ted Cruz had that response to. 56 seconds. Go.
Bibi's running around. This is a fact. I'm not guessing about this because I talked to people he said it to. Is running around the Middle East, his region, and his own country, and telling people point blank, just stating it, I control the United States. I control Donald Trump. He's saying that. And I dare them to say that's not true. Bibi, not the nation of Israel, not Israelis, and certainly not Jews, whatever that means. The leader, the secular prime minister of a country, is doing immense harm to Donald Trump's presidency, to the United States, and to the world. This is an unbalanced person whose only real concern is for himself. He's meddling in an extensive way in American politics. He's loathed by the entire world. He needs the United States, and yet at the same time, he has this patronizing attitude toward Donald Trump, demeaning Trump to people Trump knows. Separating from Bibi immediately, I think, is an essential next move. But objectively, that is absolutely necessary, and very soon, because he is hurting his own country, our country, and the world.
So as you can tell, making this video and posting it out means you are America Last. I guess no, I don't know, guys. This stuff is getting so stupid. Dumb, in fact. It's getting very dumb is what's happening. That's what Ted Cruz had that response for. It's always interesting. And Dave Smith has brought this up before. Like, that Ted Cruz did not attack any of the points that Tucker Carlson made in the video. He didn't try to refute any of the claims that Tucker Carlson made in the video. It's purely just attacking Netanyahu is the bad thing in the video. Like, that's the bad thing. And you can't even refute any of the stuff. You can't make any points about how important Israel is to our strategic relationship and involvement in the Middle East or whatever, like the next guy. You just attack Tucker Carlson and just say that he's like paid by Qatar or something, and that's all you have to do. And maybe works for some people, but it's working less and less. I'll just tell you that. Here's another video from Tucker. I'm going to play these because I think they're, because they're good information. If you haven't already seen the clips, they're good information, and we've got time. We're only 30 minutes in right now. Plenty of time. Haven't had someone rudely interrupting me here from across the table, so just making it real quick right now. I'm going to play the clip, and then I'll show you the response afterwards.
So right now, as we speak tonight, there are 2 THAAD missile batteries in Israel. That's 1/4 of the world's total supply of THAAD missile batteries. The THAAD missile battery is an American-made, very high-tech missile battery that takes incoming missiles out of the sky. And 1/4 of the world's entire supply of these is in Israel right now, manned by U.S. troops, by Americans. In uniform or not, they are American military personnel, and they are manning these batteries to protect Israel. And that shouldn't surprise you, because since October 7th, 2023, which is a little less than 2 years ago, the United States has spent at minimum $30 billion defending Israel. Huge. And for some perspective, the entire Israeli military budget before October 7th was about $25 billion. So the United States has put at least $30 billion into defending Israel in less than 2 years. Over the course of its existence, a little less than 80 years, the United States has put $300 billion, at least, those are just the on-books numbers, into supporting Israel. $300 billion. Israel is by far, no one comes close, the largest recipient of U.S. aid over time and currently. So anyone who says, oh, it's just a drop in the bucket, it's totally insignificant, is lying or doesn't know the numbers. By the way, number 2 is Egypt. So why are we spending so much money on Egypt? Well, we're doing it at the request of Israel. So you could probably add that to the tally. It's not an attack. It's merely perspective. We are spending our time, our money, and we're taking enormous risks on behalf of a country that geopolitically is not significant at all. The interesting thing is, most Americans have no idea that this is true. They don't know how disproportionate our attention to Israel and our spending on Israel is relative to the rest of the world. And if you want some sense of how disproportionate, India and China combined, neither of which is a strong ally at the moment, combined represent more than 1/3 of the entire world's population. Both are rivals economically, both are rivals militarily, at least potentially. And our relationship with them has gotten worse, or is at the very least languished, because of our relationship with Israel, because of the bandwidth consumed by tending to it, and also because of some of the inevitable conflicts that have arisen because of our support for Israel, which is engaged in an extremely controversial, which is to say hated war in Gaza, which is not even really a war. It's a massive displacement of people and killing on a grand scale.
Okay, so we get that video and it gets this response from Brandon Tatum. Okay. He says, this is why I despise Tucker. Why is he not mentioning that Israel has to spend all of that money on U.S. contractors and equipment, bolstering our economy? Why does he not mention Israel's strategic positioning in the Middle East, fighting enemies so we don't have to? Why is he not pointing out that our support financially is 1% of our GDP? That number is not correct, by the way. I guess if you take that entire $300 billion number, it's not just what he says, it's what he leaves out. Does he expect us to do nothing, let Muslims, extremists take over Israel? Then we end up fighting the wars Israel is with our own troops. Why? Why do we... Listen, I don't want, I don't want Muslim extremists to take over Israel or anything. It's not what I'm saying. But even if they did, why does that mean we have to fight that war? What does that have to do with us? Does anyone know at all? We'll take these things in reverse here. Why is he not pointing out that our support financially is 1% of our GDP? That number is not correct. It's like 0.01 if you look at the yearly total. He could be using the 300 billion number that Tucker pointed out, but that's over the entire 80 years, and we've had a lot of GDP during that time. The GDP is a yearly number that we have, so whatever. Why does he not mention Israel's strategic positioning in the Middle East, fighting enemies so we don't have to? People really fail to realize why we have actually ended up fighting so many of these wars. Like, oh, it's super important for Israel to be over there so we can use it as a forward operating base to fight these. But many of these people are our enemies because of our support for Israel. We've gotten into many of these wars because Israel let us into these wars. And I'm not saying that we don't have our own motivations and stuff and oil and and all that. We've got the, 9/11 happens and we want to go after some of the people who did that. By the way, I've been watching Tucker's 9/11 documentary. Thing's pretty good. But it's not. They don't understand that it's our support for Israel has caused many of these people to be our enemies. It's not just a conclusion that all of these people are immediately our enemies. And he says, why is he not mentioning that Israel has to spend all of that money on U.S. contractors and equipment? A lot of the money, like the coupons we give them, end up getting spent on American weapons manufacturers. That's not bolstering our economy. Like making things simply to blow them up. You only get a gain out of that if the things that are blown up end up giving you some type of an economic gain. It's like not blowing that thing up would have cost you more money than the money that you spent to blow it up. Like that's the only way you get an economic gain out of that. You could say making bombs and then that's great for the economy and then we send them over there and they get blown into bits. What's the difference? Like, why doesn't the U.S. government pay Ford to manufacture cars that we then send over there and we explode them outside of people's houses? We would look at that and we would say, well, that's dumb. We're paying Ford to make a car and then they take it over there, or we're paying Tesla to make an EV and then we have the battery explode and catch the car on fire. That's ridiculous. It's the same thing as a bomb. You're still using the productive capacity of your economy. You're still using money taken out of your economy to make things that you then set on fire. So it's not an immediate gain for the economy simply because you paid people in the United States to make that thing. They could have made something else that would have actually brought some productive value to your economy. So this idea that, because they end up getting them from U.S. weapons manufacturers, it's a good thing for the economy, it's not right. It is not true at all. So none of that, you don't have to take that as like this crazy negative thing about Israel, whatever, but I will not go with that economic argument that it's actually good for our economy that we give them bombs made by U.S. companies, because it's not. That is an economic fallacy. If I've ever heard of it, I think it's got a name, I believe, and everyone listening right now is like, yeah, it does have a name. Nate, why don't you read the book? I think it's a broken window fallacy, I'm pretty sure is what that's called. So, okay, let's get to number 7, Joy Reid. Talked about this one earlier in the week, I guess on Wednesday before Charlie left. It was complicated because the Joy Reid clip got so much play and it went so viral, and unfortunately it started with something a little bit out of context or a little bit misleading. Like she didn't say, these fascists want to get rid of the income tax and regulations, stuff like that. She was talking about Project 2025, and then she's talking about Project Esther. She's talking about the Heritage Foundation. And yeah, all those things have been called fascist in the past. So you can make that connection and say that that's what she was saying, but taking out the fascist word, which would be really funny. And I could sit here and I can make fun of the fact that, fascism is when the government stops taking your money and stops regulating your business. That sounds terrible. Oh no, not fascism. Which is not. That's not what fascism is anyway. I'll play the Joy Reid clip. I'll stop qualifying and disclaimering and preempting the clip. I'll just play the 19-second clip for you real quick.
Is that if you go back before the 20th century, there were no income taxes, there were no regulations on business. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of it to your children with no taxes. Right. That's the world they want back. And to get it back, they need society to change. They need people to be less modern. They need people to want fewer things.
All right, so there's the clip. Yes, it was, and yes, Magoo is letting me. I agree, Magoo. He said, Magoo in the Fed Haters Club said this is autistic levels of missing the point. You're right. I get that's not the point. And the dumb is not that someone put fascist before the clip. I just feel like I can't accurately make fun of it without everyone knowing that she did not say the word fascist in the actual clip itself. You just did the whole thing about, Charlie Kirk did not actually say that thing, and everyone's saying he said that thing. But no, I mean, they have called Project 2025 and Trump and the Heritage Foundation and Russ Vought and all these people fascists many times. It's the word is plenty. It's been thrown around plenty for sure. The hilarious part about this is like because I watched the whole thing and she's laying out like this terrible scenario. And she's like, and this is why they want to do this. Get this. This is why they want to do this. Because here's why they want to go back to the old days. Because the government didn't take money out of your income and they didn't regulate your business. And if you were able to make a lot of money, you could leave it for your children. That, I tell you, we got to put a stop to this. This is tyranny. I've ever heard this is authoritarianism. She was right. They were all right the whole time. It's like the idea that for some people that's this terrible, scary scenario because what they're thinking in their mind the whole time is, well, how are we going to have all of these government programs? And that's what they immediately talk about afterwards. It's like, well, how are we going to do all these government programs? We don't have all this money going into the government. Yeah, it's dumb. That was not a helpful clip for her cause whatsoever. And that was Dumb Bleep number 7. Now we get a couple longer ones. We're 40 minutes in. Making good time today. Okay. This one, don't worry, everyone. Strong Trump supporter out there watching right now. Don't worry, because the last one will be heavily in favor of Trump. But this one is heavily not in favor of Trump. And so we have to talk about the impending farmer bailout, which, yes, it's going to happen. And it will be bigger than the last time, which happened in 2018. I think it was like $25 billion or something like that in 2018. So I'm going to go through this scenario. Now, the dumb here is that we got ourselves into this scenario, and we're boasting about the tariff incomes and all that kind of stuff. Then we end up having to give a whole bunch of it away. In fact, as I'll show you later, like all the money that we've collected from imports from China, we're about to give to people because they lost out on China buying their stuff. And so that money, instead of just coming from China buying their stuff, it's coming from American businesses that had to pay this import tax. And then they're going to take that tax and give it to the people that used to get that money from China. It's like, sounds like the opposite, in my opinion, of how China was going to pay the tariffs. Okay, so here's a story just to warm up on what's going on here. China weaponizes ag imports to target Trump and U.S. farmers. They're hitting them where it hurts right now, like legitimately hitting them where it hurts right now. This is China targeting retaliation, trade war, whatever it is you want to call it. Trump launched his tariff war earlier this year, expressing confidence that China's reliance on the U.S. market would force Beijing to accept trade terms that benefited American businesses and consumers. 6 months after the president's Liberation Day tariffs and weeks from the November 10th White House cutoff for a trade pact between the two countries, U.S. soybean farmers are learning that China, long the predominant market for their product, doesn't need them anymore. China has not purchased any U.S. soybeans since May. According to the American Soybean Association, Beijing has pivoted to suppliers in Brazil and Argentina. In fact, a lot of people are upset that another thing we haven't talked about, this sort of bailout of Argentina, which I believe was $20 billion, and immediately afterwards, they essentially open up their market to China, and China starts buying a bunch of soybeans from Argentina, which, like, Argentina should open up their market and allow their farmers to sell without taxes and stuff for them. Like they should do that. It's a smart thing for them to do. But it's not looking that great for us right now. Let's see. What is that? Since May, Beijing pivoted to suppliers in Brazil and Argentina, logging huge orders for Latin American beans and leaving U.S. farmers in the cold and panicking. Dramatic shift echoes China's response to the tariff war during Trump's first term, when the value of U.S. soybean exports plunged to $3 billion in 2018 from $14 billion in 2016. I put the screenshot in here. I don't think my dad will mind. It's just really funny. So my dad's a farmer. My brother's a farmer. My family come from a farm family. And so I texted my dad in preparation for talking about this a little bit. It's like, hey, what's going on with this whole China not buying soybeans thing? What's up with that? And he's said, long answer, I'll get back to you after I quit, and sent me a picture. And the picture is of what he's doing at that time, which is combining soybeans. He's harvesting soybeans at the moment. So if you're watching right now on YouTube, or if you're hanging out in the Fed Haters Club, like pretty funny picture to send when I'm asking him what's going on with soybeans, and he's like, "Well, they're right here. Let me talk to him." I thought that was pretty funny. Let me play a couple of the clips here. I just want a little bit more context. This one, by the way, like it's dumb, and I'm going to present some more dumb things here at the end. Don't worry. This is something I wanted to talk about earlier in the week. I've wanted to talk about it all week, actually, and so this is a little bit more of like a news story here than your typical "look how dumb this is" thing. So you're going to find like a lot more context added and things like that than normal. But here's a news clip.
Hey, Kelly, why won't China buy our beans?
Well, Stu, this is direct retaliation for the trade war between our two countries. China knows that American farmers are now losing their biggest customer. I mean, take a look at this. We know that China buys, from government data alone, more than half of all U.S. soybean exports last year, with $12 billion worth of soybeans sold to them. Now, according to the American Soybean Association, we know that China in the last 5 years...
I'm going to go over to this one of a farmer talking, and he's upset. Here we go.
What we need more than anything is access to markets on a level playing field, and that includes China. Right now, with the trade war and then the tariffs and retaliatory tariffs that have resulted, we're at about a 20% price disadvantage when it comes to what the Chinese have to pay for our soybeans versus the Brazilian soybeans. And the buyers there want our soybeans, and we need to sell them.
That's a legit accent. I just want to say, this chart here, this is an important thing I was trying to work my way towards. As you can see, China buying less soybeans. And this chart's not exactly the best because it typically looks like this. It falls off to June and July. You can see this wave right here basically falling off. The red is where China's buying. They are, in fact, not buying. Soybean prices, very low, very close to where they were last time Trump did the trade war with China. Okay, down quite a bit, actually, down a lot. And so what's the problem? Well, costs money to farm. The things that you use to farm, all of your machinery, your fertilizers, chemicals, stuff like that, all the stuff that you have to use to farm have gotten more expensive, also due to tariffs and general inflation. And so everything's got more expensive. The prices are back down to where they were in 2018, which leads us to bailout, which is the main point here, the bailout.
We've taken it, we're going to distribute it because we're taking in a lot of money. We're finding, the other day, it was very interesting, they found $31 billion. They said, sir, we found 31. I said, you mean positively, right? They said, yeah, 31 million more than we knew. And they said, we don't know where it came from. I said, check the tariff shelf. They came back the following morning. They said, you're right, sir, it came from the tariffs. We've never seen anything like this. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking some money from all of the tariff money that we've taken, and we're going to distribute it to our farmers until the tariffs kick into their benefit, which ultimately the farmers are going to be making a fortune. But it's a process of it has to kick in. We're going to take...
Don't worry, farmers, you're going to be making a fortune. It's going to be happening. Of course, as I explained earlier, my main problem with this overall is that the money that we're going to be using to bail out the farmers came from the tariffs. We're going to try and use that to bail out the farmers. They used to just sell the stuff to China. Like that was the way that like China gave them the money. But now we're going to give them the money from the tariff money. But the tariff money didn't just come directly from China. It came from American companies that are importing that. Where do American companies get their money? From consumers, mostly in America. And so we end up paying the farmers what they would have been paid if they just would have been able to sell their stuff to China. And another really dumb thing about this is from all the available data I could find, the amount of money that we've actually collected from Chinese imports is around like $50 billion-ish. Found some various numbers, and that was through July, so it doesn't count August and September. Okay, and we're talking about doing a bailout of anywhere from $35 to $50 billion. So like it's just all going to go back to the farmers. That's so that's good. That's awesome. Yeah, not a fan of bailouts, and so we're going to move on to, that was 10 minutes. Now I can do 10 minutes for the fun one. The meme gate. This is really going to be Shutdown, Hakeem Jeffries, illegal alien healthcare, just the whole thing, just cringy Democrats being just being terrible at being real people, just all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to kick this off with Al Franken saying, is J.D. Vance a liar or just woefully ignorant when claiming that Democrats want to give health benefits to undocumented immigrants? Don't worry, he was corrected on this very easily, like quickly, actually, like this top comment here, which has 18,000 likes. This is a clip from the Democratic debate when they asked the question, and guess who raises their hand? The answer is everyone.
A lot of you have been talking tonight about these government health care plans that you've proposed in one form or another. This is a show of hands question, and hold them up for a moment so people can see. Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants. Okay. Let me start with you, Mayor Buttigieg. Why?
And so that was the Democratic debate for the 2020 election. Of course, there was no primary in the most recent election, as you guys might remember. And it is clear. So when you make a general statement like what Al Franken said, like, is he ignorant when claiming that Democrats want to give health benefits to undocumented immigrants? Like, no, they've all pledged to do that. And in fact, many of these programs do that. And they found ways also to take our programs, take the illegal immigrants and give them all like parole status, stuff like that. And then they can claim and get benefits, stuff like that. And so J.D. Vance does a good job explaining this. He's good at explaining things overall. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. So before we get into the Hakeem Jeffries stuff, which is fun, just want to build up some more of the context around this.
This is a Democrat talking point. They say we're not actually trying to give health care benefits to illegal aliens, and here's why it's not true. There are two Biden-era programs that explicitly gave the taxpayer health care money to illegal aliens that we turned off when President Trump took over in January. Program number one is there's a lot of emergency health care at hospitals that are provided to illegal aliens. That was funded by the federal government. We turned off that funding because, of course, we want American citizens to benefit from those hospital services, not to be taxed and then to have those hospital services go to illegal aliens. The second of which is the Biden administration gave mass parole to millions upon millions of illegal aliens, and then they simultaneously made those parolees eligible for health care benefits funded by taxpayers. In the One Big Beautiful Bill, President Trump and congressional Republicans turned off that money to health care funding for illegal aliens. The Democrats want to turn it back on. And in their initial proposal, the first thing that they put out to reopen the government, they actually turned that money for health care benefits for illegal aliens back on. So it's not something that we made up. It's not a talking point. It is in the text of the bill that they initially gave to us to reopen the government. It's preposterous for them to run away from it now. But look, let's set that all to the side. Let's open up the government. Let's negotiate on all of these healthcare policy issues.
I disagree. I don't think we should open up the government. We're in day 3 of shutdown right now, by the way. I don't know if the Democrats are going to cave, and just vote to continue Biden era spending, or if the Republicans are going to come up with some kind of deal. Because guess what? They're going to need Congress to help them bail out farmers, probably. So they might end up throwing that in there with some other healthcare stuff. And striking a deal eventually. I don't know which one of those things are going to happen, but I say let's just keep doing this. Maybe this is all part of the plan. This is all part of Trump's 4D, 5D chess plan to get the government shut down. So Russ Fox can come in there and just start firing people. Hey, sure, let's keep it this way for a little bit. That's fine. All right. Now we're going to get into some of the other things in the memes. So Trump posted out this video. I'll let everyone know it's an AI generated video. This is not actually Chuck Schumer talking. And Hakeem Jeffries is not wearing a sombrero, and he does not have a curly mustache. But Trump posted this out. We played this earlier in the week. I tend to think this stuff is hilarious. Like, you could say, oh, well, the president of the United States shouldn't be doing this kind of thing. I don't know. I don't take these people seriously anyway. So I think it's time to say, no, this is not, these people are not serious people. Here we go.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
So people got big mad about this, called it racist. Hakeem Jeffries was super mad, and I'm going to play some of his response, but after Jeffries went out there and got super mad, and they're doing press conferences, all kinds of stuff about how terrible this is. That's the problem. It's clearly a troll. Republicans are saying that you're trying to fight for healthcare for illegal immigrants. Post out a video of Schumer not actually saying what Schumer said. Hakeem Jeffries is wearing the sombrero. It's a joke. It's a troll. And made a big mistake there. Just took the bait. Just went right for it. So I'll play some of those responses here in a second, but I'll play you what Trump posted after. He took it all in, thought about it, and then said, okay, fine.
It's a disgusting video, and we're going to continue to make clear bigotry will get you nowhere. We are fighting to protect the health care of the American people in the face of an unprecedented Republican assault.
It's so stupid. Like, it's really funny. But why did they get so upset about this? Did they actually think that people are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, this is so racist"? And like, come on, man, it's 2025. Trump's the president. That stuff doesn't work anymore. Did you guys not learn your lesson? The answer is no. They did not learn the lesson at all. Here's another one. I think Trump just posted this one out, and I think it was like last night or something. I don't know when it was. This is him in the office with Hakeem Jeffries, and he's tossing him a hat. This is AI video. This didn't actually happen in real life, by the way. Tosses a hat and lands on his head. It's a Trump 2028 hat. Like, he's having fun with this. This is perfect. This is exactly what he wanted. People are watching the videos. They're getting millions and millions of views. They're talking about it. It's drawing more attention to the entire thing. And they look like little babies out there. They just can't take it. It's nuts that they haven't learned these lessons yet. But here's some of the responses from Hakeem Jeffries and one other congresswoman or something. Yeah, Teresa Fernandez. Let's see. Let me go to the first Hakeem Jeffries video I have pulled up.
Mr. President, the next time you have something to say about me.
Yeah.
Don't cop out through a racist and fake AI video. When I'm back in the Oval Office, say it to my face.
The idea that Trump would not say something to your face if he wanted to say something to your face, that's the craziest part of this. Like, if anyone's going to say something to your face, it's Donald Trump. Like, we all know that. And then people, this is so fake. It's as people online, I don't say this, as if I can code this for people online, this is fake and gay. It's what it is. That's not me saying this. I'm letting the people online watching right now know that as far as a category of things that are fake and gay goes, that's what this is right here. Let's see. Here's a little bit more. Oh, someone in the group just posted a GIF of one of my favorite Mike Myers movies, So I Married an Axe Murderer. Who was that? Magoo. That's a good one there. Harriet. All right. Here's another one.
And I believe you used the word unhinged the other day.
I did.
Are you trying to draw a line between President Trump's acuity, his mental state, and what's going on here with the shutdown?
No. I'm actually referring to some of his social media posts, which didn't seem to make a lot of sense.
The sombrero and the mustache?
Correct. Well, it would seem to me that as the president of the United States, on the brink of a government shutdown, if you actually wanted to bring everyone together to try to get to a resolution in a common sense, bipartisan way, that's not the type of behavior that...
Okay, so he's upset. Here's a little bit more of him being upset.
Donald Trump posted this AI video featuring myself and Chuck Schumer. It was a fake video. It was a disgusting video. It was a racist video. It was unbecoming of anyone purporting to be the president of the United States of America. But y'all, I ain't scared.
He ain't scared. He's out there like a victim, and everyone's up. It was funny. It's a joke. It's a troll. You bought into it. And the craziest thing now is that they really don't get it, because it's like they're not real people. And a lot of Republicans are not real people either. But people like Trump and J.D. Vance, like, say what you will about them, but they're kind of just who they are. They say what's on their mind. That's probably why Trump is the president. It's why he has such a large following. We went through years and years of politicians who were just acting all of the time, just fake politicians speak for years and years. And maybe you didn't know it up front, but you knew in the back of your mind, like, this is fake. This is not real. This person's just lying to my face right now. They're trying to act like they're not, but I know that they are. And you just had that forever. And then you get someone like Trump who comes out there. It's like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Of course. Of course that's what I'm doing. What did Dave Chappelle call him? An honest liar, I think. I think that was the Dave Chappelle bit. That's true. That's why he made such a big impact. That's why there's such a big movement around him. But Democrats, they don't have that person yet. And it's because they can't be real people, because they've set up all of these boxes and barriers around the way that people are supposed to act, and you can't say anything offensive, which means you really can't say anything that's funny. You just can't be really, you got to worry about, oh, what if this marginalized group and that one, you got to be overly suicidally empathetic at all times and just so serious about democracy and all that. And you just can't be a real person ever. And they don't have good enough actors to get away with it. The closest one they have, I believe, is Gavin Newsom. Some people like it when he speaks. I think he looks like a freaking robot that's been programmed with the perfect things for a politician to say at any point in time. I think we should look into that, actually. You know, people who have these big grassroots movements around them, like AOC and Bernie Sanders and Mamdani and some of these other people who, you know, they don't fit that mold. They say things that aren't popular with the party, but a lot of people think, and that's how they get some of the support. Like, but some of these people don't understand it, and they still think that these things are going to work, and they're not going to work. Here's one more. This one drove me nuts, and I'll show you what they're doing in response to this now. It's super original what they're doing in response to this now. But here's Representative Teresa Fernandez.
That's right. And then what does that shameful man do? After a meeting where you're supposed to be working out details, where you're supposed to be negotiating a deal, you post something that draws a sombrero and a mustache on the leader with whom you're supposed to be. Sir.
Someone tell me if this is what you're supposed to do. Why do some people, like, you're speaking with like a perfect English American accent, you just sound like you're from America. Your parents are maybe from America too. You've been here the whole time. And you just say a word like sombrero, but you have to say it with like a Spanish, like a Mexican dialect accent on it. Is that not fake to everyone who hears that? Like, why did you say it like that? You said all the other words, and this word, you have to roll your R. You didn't roll any of the other R's, you know? Like Mexicans, when they're saying English words, they're like, oh, I better not roll that R. I might offend someone. I better say this like I'm talking straight from Missouri right now. That's how I got to talk, because that's how Americans talk. No, that's not what you do. That's ridiculous. So that was dumb enough for me right there. Like, why do you just, or if you have to say it with like that, just say hat. Just say hat. Like they put a Mexican hat on them. I don't like it. I'm upset about this. I'm sad about democracy and stuff. Just do that. Well, Democrats, since they're not real people, since many politicians aren't real people, like the only thing they can think to do is, Trump is doing this AI thing, these AI videos and making fun of Democrats. And so what we should do, what's really going to we're going to show them, I am going to take a clip of Republicans talking and I'm going to do an AI thing with it. And they are going to get so mad, and then they'll stop posting those mean sombrero memes, and we'll all go back to the good old days afterwards. So once I do this Minions thing a couple times, that's going to show them. They're going to realize how hurtful this is, actually. And it's not, no one cares. Literally, just no one cares.
The Democratic proposal is designed to prevent
This is Gavin Newsom posting this out, and it's Mike Johnson.
Millions of Americans from losing their health insurance, losing Medicaid coverage, or paying higher health care premiums. Why are you against that?
No, George, let me tell you what happened last night. Everybody can go and review the facts for themselves.
So, the thing is, this would be funny if it were your original idea to do this, and this is how you were going to make fun of Republicans, but you're only doing it because Republicans are posting sombrero memes. And so now you're going to AI video some Republicans, and since it's not original, and you're clearly doing it as a response to something that you're crying about 2 seconds ago, it just doesn't work. It's not going to work at all. And they've done it multiple times now. They did one here with J.D. Vance, and Hakeem Jeffries posted this out. And they put you guys know all the J.D. Vance memes that got popular, late last year or whenever it was. They're hilarious. I don't know what it is about J.D. Vance's face. You just make so many different faces out of J.D. Vance's face. People are putting them on famous scenes from movies, stuff like that. Some of them I laugh every time I see them. They're hilarious. You know who else thinks they're really funny every time they see them? J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance thinks they're hilarious. He posts them as a response to things. Like the clip of Joy Reid last week saying that J.D. Vance was a DEI admission to college. J.D. Vance responded to that with one of the ridiculous J.D. Vance memes. They get it. When someone's trolling you and they're trying to get you to take the bait and trying to get you to be offended or something like that, you flip it back on them. You accept it. I think he needs to make this his profile photo. Who cares? To me, that's not what J.D. Vance looks like. J.D. Vance knows that's not what he looks like. Everyone else who's seen him before knows that's not what he looks like. He's not bald. He's not super chubby like that. Everyone knows. It's a fake photo of him. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's crazy. The horror. This is so awful. I can't believe this happened. But they don't get it. They literally don't get it. J.D. Vance did a good job explaining this whole thing. He does a good job at explaining things, okay? Here's his response to Hakeem Jeffries' response to the memes.
The sombrero thing, Hakeem Jeffries said it was racist, and I know that he said that, and I honestly don't even know what that means. Is he a Mexican American that is offended by having a sombrero meme? I saw one of the major TV stations put the meme up and then say, this is AI generated, and he had the curly animated mustache too. It's like, do you really not realize the American people recognize that he did not actually come to the White House wearing a sombrero and a black curly animation mustache? Like, give the country a little bit of credit. We're all trying to do a very important job for the American people. The President of the United States likes to have a little bit of fun when he's doing it, and I think that's okay. I'll take one more question.
That's great. That's a good response. You guys are ridiculous. Yeah, we're making jokes. Get over it. Stop being ridiculous. Let's see. What do we have? Last night, Stephen Colbert did a J.D. Vance couch thing. Like, no one cares. It falls flat. It's not even, I mean, I'm sure the audience is laughing. I bet they're laughing. Let me click on it. Well, maybe they're not laughing. I'm not sure. That seems to be a clip from Stephen Colbert. I don't hear like just dying with laughter, people rolling on the floor laughing or anything like that. I don't hear any LMAOs over there. I'm sure some laughter occurred at some point in time, but no. And just one more little icing on the cake, because I didn't give it its own dumb. They're so freaking cringy. Mainly the Democrats. Republicans used to be super cringy. Many of them still are, but for whatever reason, I don't know exactly what happened. They became the party of actual people, like actual real people. And this is Sarah McBride, Congresswoman from Delaware, making a point that the government is shut down, I guess. It's very impactful, and I bet this is going to do it. Here you go.
We're barreling towards a shutdown. All my Democratic colleagues are here. I'm going to go search for my Republican colleagues. Republicans, y'all know there's a government shutdown. Republicans, anyone here? Is Mike Johnson in here? Let's see if some Republicans are in here. Are there any Republicans in here? Hello? Republicans? No Republicans here. They left a mess and left town. No Republicans on the train. Republicans. Have you seen any Republicans? Are any Republicans here? Hello, Republicans. Does anyone know how to fix this thing? Hello? 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 Hi, Democratic colleague. Max, I'm looking for...
My God. Oh, my God. It's so fake. And it's mostly Democrats. Like that is, I don't know who falls for that stuff. Democrats are so fake that when they have a congresswoman film this video, it's not even actually a woman. Like that's how fake they are. They can't even get that part right. That's too cringy. I can't even talk about it anymore. I need to forget about this. Okay. Voting. That's what we do next. That's the next thing that's on the list. Now we do voting. Okay. Let me get to where all of the options are. Thank you to everyone for hanging out right now. Let's go through some of the options for Dumb Bleep. Number 1 was Mamdani and the gifted and talented program. Number 2, the ICE protest thing. Number 3, Cuomo's apology. Number 4, Don Lemon talking about white people. Number 5, Assata Shakur, revolutionary. Number 6, not Tucker, but the stuff that had to do with Tucker. That was Ted Cruz, and I don't remember the other guy's name. Number 7, Joy Reid. That's that terrifying, scary scenario she laid out. Number 8, anywhere from a $35 to $50 billion farmer bailout coming up here pretty soon. Number 9, the shutdown, the fight over the shutdown. The fact that, by the way, when they do get it open back up, it's not going to be better. That's not ever going to happen. And then, in addition to that, it's all the reaction to the meme, to the Hakeem Jeffries meme, and everyone crying. Just constant crying. It's fake, and it's fake and gay, and no one's buying that stuff anymore. Okay, while everyone is voting, go get your votes in and the Dumb Bleep of the Week voting channel in our private Discord. Join gml.com to join the Fed Haters Club. I'm going to tell you guys that you need to go to joingml.com and join the Fed Haters Club so you can vote on Dumb Bleep of the Week. That's the most important thing right there. You can also throw in submissions and get some of them on the show. So that's good as well. You can go to godhatesfeds.com, get yourself a God Hates Feds t-shirt. You can leave a rating and review if you want to help us, but you don't want to spend any money. You haven't done it yet. Leave a rating or a rating and a review on your favorite podcast app or every podcast app. I don't leave it on your least favorite podcast app. If you got a iPhone and you're using Spotify, I'll leave it on both of them, okay? Rating and review on our podcast. 5 stars if you like it. Forget I said anything if you don't. It's very important. The algorithms will put us closer to the top of the list when someone searches a word, like a keyword that could be in one of our episodes. Could be something Trump. Could be something libertarian. Could be something economics, whatever. It'll be closer to the top of the list in search when you're getting more ratings and reviews and you're telling the computer systems that people listen to the show and they like it. We got a lot of reviews on there. Got a lot of ratings on there. We need more. Thank you for everyone who has done that. Go do it again. What else? What else do I tell you? Tell a friend, a family member, and the children. Do all that stuff, you know. You got to tell everyone about the show. That's the best way to advertise a show. That's the best thing for us, is for other people to tell people about the show. Word of mouth is the best type of advertising. And then also, if you can't do any of those things or you don't want to, just make sure you're following us on X, Good AM Liberty. That's where you'll get most of our comments. Interact with those, engage with those, leave a comment, a like, a repost. That's good for the algorithms as well. And get more active on YouTube right now. So you can do that. Hang out with us on YouTube and always watch the videos. I'm going to give you 5 seconds here on the voting right now. It's currently between Joy Reid and the Shutdown, and mainly, I'm guessing, all the reaction to the sombrero meme. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is Dumb Bleep number 9, the meme, the troll, the response to the troll. That's who wins Dumb Bleep of the Week. Okay, do all the stuff that I just said to do. Remember each one of them. If you don't remember, hit skip backwards just a little bit. Listen to all those things. I need you to do every single one of them, or at least one of them. If you do all of those things, and I mean all of them, I'll be back here again on Monday. Until then, have a good weekend and a good morning, Liberty.